All right, let's jump right in. When I say the word yoga, what pops into your head? For most of us, right, it's a pretty specific image. But what if I told you that the yoga we see in studios and on social media is just one tiny branch on this huge ancient tree?
You know the scene? Today, yoga means physical postures, it means wellness, it means exercise classes. We think of stretching, breathing, and maybe grabbing a moment of peace in our crazy week. And look, that's definitely part of the story, but it's a very, very recent part.
To really get what's going on, we have to go way back to the source. The word yoga actually comes from this Sanskrit root, yuch, and it means to yoke or to unite. So the core idea here isn't about flexibility or touching your toes, it's about integration. It's about yoking the body and mind together, or even uniting your individual self with, well, with everything.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? If the original yoga isn't just a workout, then what in the world is it? Well, it turns out it's a whole collection of highly disciplined methods, and they're all aiming for huge things, like total self-knowledge and liberation.
So let's start with what you could almost call the software of yoga. These are the paths that are all about transforming our inner world, our consciousness itself, not so much our physical bodies.
Right away, you see two major paths with totally different game plans. On one hand, you've got Raja Yoga, the royal path. Its whole deal is mental discipline. It says the goal of yoga is to stop that constant nagging chatter in our heads. But then you have Jnana Yoga, the path of wisdom, which says, nope, the real problem is just ignorance. And the only solution is deep philosophical insight. So one is about control, the other is about pure understanding.
And Raja Yoga is incredibly systematic. I mean, it lays out this eightfold path, a literal step-by-step guide to quieting your mind. It kicks off with ethics, how you relate to the world and to yourself. And get this, check out number 3, asana. That's the Sanskrit word for a posture. In this classical system, the physical practice we're also familiar with is just one step out of 8, and its job is just to get the body ready to sit still for the really deep stuff later on, like concentration and meditation.
But not all yoga asks you to become a hermit and meditate on a mountain. Let's look at the paths that are designed to be woven right into the messy fabric of our everyday lives.
This right here is the heart of Karma Yoga, which is the yoga of selfless action. And the idea is pretty revolutionary. It says you don't have to give up your worldly life to be a yogi. Instead, you can turn your job, your chores, your relationships, your entire life into a spiritual practice. And how do you do that? Simply by doing things without getting hung up on the results. It's all about how you act, not just what you do.
And then you've got Bhakti Yoga, which takes a completely different road. This is the path of pure love and devotion. Forget mental control or selfless duty for a second. Bhakti Yoga says that our ability to feel deep emotional attachment, if you aim it at the divine, can be the single most powerful way to achieve freedom. And what's so amazing about this path is how open it was. It taught that true devotion could smash right through social barriers like caste or gender.
Okay, so we've talked about mind, we've talked about action, we've talked about devotion. Now let's circle all the way back to the yoga most of us actually know, the physical stuff. Where does it fit into this massive ancient tradition?
This timeline, this is the real aha moment. You see, a lot of the earlier systems kind of saw the body as a problem to be overcome. But around the 6th century, tantric ideas flipped that script and started seeing the body as a crucial tool for liberation. Then boom, 15th century, you get actual manuals for what we now call Hatha Yoga, the forceful or physical path that laid out all these bodily practices. But here's the kicker. The global explosion of modern yoga classes, where the postures are the main event, that's almost entirely a 20th century thing.
Which, of course, brings us to the real question. When you think about your own experience, that vinyasa class you went to last week, where does it actually fit into this huge, sprawling history we've been walking through?
The answer is all about its original purpose. Historically, Hatha Yoga, this physical, forceful practice, was never meant to be the end of the journey. It was a prep school. The postures, the breathing, the whole shebang, it was all designed to purify the body and discipline the mind so that a person could then successfully do the deep internal work of Raja Yoga. That's the concentration, the meditation, the final absorption.
So what's the takeaway from all this? It's that behind this one little word, yoga, there's a whole toolbox for human transformation. And inside that box are all these different tools for different people with different goals.
Let's just pull all these threads together for a second. We've got the inward paths, Raja Yoga's hardcore mental training and Jnana Yoga's quest for wisdom. We've got the out-in-the-world paths, the selfless action of Karma Yoga and the passionate love of Bhakti Yoga. And finally, we've put Hatha Yoga, the physical practice, in its place, not as the final destination, but as the strong foundation you build to support everything else. Each one has a different method, but they're all pointing toward that same horizon, transformation.
So, if you remember one thing, let it be this. Yoga isn't one thing. It's a whole family of incredibly sophisticated systems, both philosophical and practical. And once you see that, it really challenges the modern idea of yoga as just another form of exercise. It brings back its depth and its power.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. The next time you hear someone say yoga, or you roll out your own mat, or just pass a studio on the street, which path will you see? Will it just be the physical posture, or will you see this huge, amazing network of paths all leading towards something much, much deeper?